Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Yasmina Greco. I'm with O'Reilly Media, and I will be your host for today's webcast. Today, folks, we have Microsoft MVP Mike Halsey presenting Configuring and Optimizing Windows 8. Mike is the author of the brand new and best-selling O'Reilly Media book, Windows 8 Out of the Box, and he's the author of the best-selling Microsoft Press book, Troubleshooting Windows 7 Inside Out. We're really excited to have Mike with us today to present this webcast for you all. As we get things started for the event today, folks, I'd like to go over a little housekeeping to help you get the most out of today's webcast. You'll want to open your group chat widget if you haven't already done so. This is where we can interact with each other during the event and where you can submit your questions for Mike. We find that our audience usually has a lot of good knowledge to share, so we encourage you all to chat freely during the event. However, if you have questions for Mike, please preface them with a capital letter Q so we know that they're for him and we can make sure he sees it for Q&A. You can also open, move, and resize any of the other widgets. If you would like to tweet from the Twitter widget today, you may need to give it permission to access your account. It will automatically append the event's hashtag to your tweet so you don't have to. And today, our hashtag is HalseyMike, all one word. If you should have any trouble during the event, please take a look at your help widget. If you continue to have problems, please post it in the group chat and one of our staff will help you right away. For choppy audio or stalled visuals, please try refreshing the window. And remember, the best thing you can do for a good audio stream is to close any apps that could interfere. People always ask, so we'd like you to know, we are recording today's webcast and we'll have the archive ready usually within 48 hours. And folks, at this time, it is my pleasure to turn the program over to Mike for his presentation. Hello, Mike.
Thanks, Yasmina. Hi, everybody. I see that once again we've got people here from all over the world. I want to make a special shout-out. Brian Boston, I see you're in. Brian, I'm coming to Bellevue in a week and a half. If you're around, can you drop me an email, and we'll see if we can meet up for a drink while I'm out there. So today I want to talk about configuring and optimizing Windows 8. In fact, today you want me to talk about configuring and optimizing Windows 8. So we'll get started without further ado. So who am I? I'm a Microsoft MVP, the author of Windows 8 Out of the Box, which I'm extremely proud of, and it's selling extremely well. And you can find me online at Halsey Mike on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. And there's plenty of help and how-to videos on YouTube, and I'll be making many more in the coming months. The best way to stay up to date and in touch with things is Facebook, definitely, and Twitter as well. So that's me. So let's dive right in and look at how we configure and optimize this new thing called Windows 8. Well, first things is when you are running an app in Windows 8, it can be a bit confusing figuring out where its settings are, because ordinarily you'd open the app bar from the bottom of the screen, and you would expect to find a settings or a preferences or an options button there, but that's not where it is. Instead, if you want to change the settings within any app, you open the charms and you click or tap the settings charm, and then in the coloured bar that appears on the right-hand side of the screen, up in the top, near the top right of the screen, you will see settings, options, various other configuration links for the app that you're currently in and the app you're currently viewing. That also works for the search charm and the share charm and the devices charm. Let's say, for instance, you want to print something directly from an app. Open the charms when you're in that app, click devices, and your printer will appear in the list, and search and so on. So that's how you can change the settings for your apps. But what about the settings for the actual computer? Now, I'm not going to spend too much time here. I'm not going to spend time at all, really, going into the full control panel. I mean, there's a little bit on it, because I want to talk about PC settings for a while. Now, PC settings is actually much more complete than you might think it is. Everything that you need for general PC use is in there. There's not anything that's missing for the average PC user. And there's all sorts of things in PC settings that have been duplicated or moved from the control panel, like Windows Update, creating new user accounts, that are much simpler and easier to use than they ever were in the control panel. And also the new refresh and reset options. Refresh is a fantastic little option. That's in there as well under the general settings, and that enables you to effectively reinstall Windows 8 if you encounter a problem. It keeps your apps, it keeps your user accounts, it keeps your settings. You don't have to reinstall any of your desktop software, but you can create a custom refresh image. I'll talk about that a little later on. So that's PC settings. So what's next? One of the things I like most about Windows 8, and I genuinely like these features, I think they're fantastic additions, is the automatic syncing of settings between all of the Windows 8 computers that you log into. Now, there's a caveat with this. You need to log in with a Microsoft account. You might know it as a Live ID. It's your Hotmail, MSN, Live email address. So if you log in with one of those, on any computer you use Windows 8 on, it will synchronize your the start screen, colors and background. It will synchronize your internet favorites, so you go to another computer and all your internet favorites are there, and it'll synchronize other bits and pieces such as the Windows Store, and it'll tell you what apps you've already bought and what free apps you've downloaded previously so that you can put them on that computer. And if you don't want it to do this, if you don't want it to synchronize everything, then you can, in PC settings, go to the synchronize options, and you can either turn bits of it off or turn the feature off completely if you don't want that. It might be, for example, that there's a computer that you think you're only going to use once. So there's no point. So you might as well just turn it off, because if you turn it off, then that stuff isn't stored on that computer and you don't have to worry about it. I'll mention somebody's down to ask this, so I'll head this one off. Let's say you're only going to use a computer once and it's synchronized your settings and your internet favorites and all this, that, and the other. Yes, how do you get rid of them afterwards? The way you get rid of them afterwards is when you log into this new computer, you're creating a new user account. So you go back into the user accounts options in PC settings, and you delete your user account. You'll need to be logged in as someone else when you do that. So you'll need to delete the user account to get rid of those files afterwards. So that's syncing between Windows 8 computers, and it's really good, if only because it syncs your internet favorites, which is an absolute blessing. If like me, you're not a fan of web browsers like Chrome, which do it for you anyway. So let's look at how we can properly get into the nuts and bolts of configuring it. Now, lots of people have said to me that they're not very keen on the start screen. So I say, well, there's all sorts of other things you can do with the start screen, even if you need to use it at all. I mean, some people will install a bit of software like Start 8 and they'll just get rid of the start screen. I don't have software like that installed. I use the desktop all the time for work, and I almost never see the start screen, almost never look at it. It's very easy to stay working on the desktop. But one thing you can do is use the start screen as a widget dashboard, so that the live tiles are displaying information that you want, maybe news, weather, sports results, stocks and shares, currencies, any information you want. Because one of the oddities is with Windows 8 is that if you go into the accessibility options called the ease of access in PC settings or in the control panel, and you change things like the option to make everything on your screen bigger, they work independently of one another. So if you make everything bigger in PC settings for the start screen, everything will get bigger and your tiles can be better used as live widgets, but that won't affect the desktop. The desktop, it will stay exactly the same as it is. Nothing will be scaled up. So one of the things I advise people to do, if they want to, is to use those ease of access features in PC settings, scale up the start screen itself, and arrange the live tiles that you've got so that it effectively becomes the equivalent of the dashboard in OS X. So at the back, so you press the Windows key and it will go to this dashboard, and you'll be able to see all the latest news and information appear on these tiles, and then you just press the Windows key again and you go back to the desktop and you carry on working. So that's one useful way that you can configure Windows 8 for your own use. Now, if you use Windows 8 for presentations, as I do, when you go out and give talks, or maybe you've got Windows 8 on your laptop and you have to give a presentation at work, or somebody else is giving a presentation, and we've probably all been in the situation where somebody is giving a presentation and a little sound plays and a little pop-up appears on the big projector screen saying that they've got an email, probably an embarrassing one as well. Well, in Windows 8 you can silence them for a period of up to 8 hours, depending on how long and boring. I mean, if anybody ever does a PowerPoint presentation that that they say is going to be 8 hours, I would suggest that you just run. But if you open the settings charm, then you'll see down in the bottom right of the screen, you'll see a notifications icon. And if you click that, you can hide all notifications for 1 hour, 3 hours, or 8 hours, which is a great way to silence the PC if you've got a presentation going on. Now, a lot of people are using 3G or even 4G LTE broadband with their new Windows 8 computers. My laptop's got a SIM card built into it, SIM card slot, lots of phones support tethering, and lots of data plans for mobile phones now allow you to use tethering and unmetered data on your laptop or on your tablet. So it's becoming increasingly common. And Windows 8 offers some really useful features when it comes to this. When you go to connect to a mobile data connection, a mobile service provider, it will tell you how much data you have used since the last time you were connected, or when you were connected last. And it keeps a running tally. There's a little reset button there that you can click, so you can reset it once a month. But many people are on metered data tariffs, where we've only got so much, say a gigabyte of data that we can use every month. And this is a good way of making sure that we don't go over. Also, in the settings, once you open the settings charm, you'll see a tiles link. If you open the settings charm from the start screen, you'll see a tiles link up in the top right-hand corner. And there you can limit the amount of data that the live tiles will actually use, if you've even got the live tiles turned on. The live tiles will be used in pulling data down during a month. So that's a really useful feature. Also, when you're using mobile data, if you use SkyDrive, the SkyDrive desktop app, for instance, to synchronize your files with the cloud, it'll actually warn you that you're on a metered data connection, and it will say, look, do you want to turn SkyDrive off? That can be incredibly useful. So I mentioned the full control panel a little bit earlier, so I just want to talk about it briefly. Firstly, how do you get to it? Well, there are several ways to get to it. You can search for Control or Control Panel directly just by typing that at the start screen, and you'll find it. Pops up. Or if you open the Settings charm from the desktop, not from the start screen, it doesn't work. Open the Settings charm from the desktop, you'll see a link to Control Panel appears in the top right of the screen. There's also a little menu called WinX, or the administration menu. If you, on your laptop or desktop PC, if you press the Windows key and the letter X, this little menu will pop up in the bottom left corner of your screen. And there's plenty of links down there. I'm going to talk about WinX a little bit later on. So what's new in the control panel in Windows 8? We've got Add Features to Windows. Add Features to Windows, if you've just got Windows 8 or Windows 8 Pro, will allow you to upgrade to Windows 8 Pro, or will allow you to add Media Center. What does Media Center actually bring? It brings DVD and Blu-ray movie playback, but only within Windows Media Center, not within any other software. Family Safety used to be called Parental Controls. It's been renamed. It's been significantly beefed up. It's a fantastic family safety utility now. File history is there. That's a completely restructured version of the old previous versions feature that's been in Windows for a while, which keeps not only keeps copies of files that have changed, but it also keeps copies of files that have been deleted, and it keeps a full backup of all your files as well. And that's a great feature. Recovery is a new place to access reset and refresh, although it's just going to chuck you straight back to PC settings. And it allows you to create a restore drive, which is a rescue drive on a USB pen. Storage spaces probably would have been more useful about 10 years ago when hard drives were small in capacity and people had many of them. It allows you to amalgamate all of your available hard drives into one big storage volume, and that's really good. It's very robust. If you have to reinstall Windows, then it'll recognize it and it'll put the storage space back together, so you don't need to worry about it. It is in effect a software RAID system for Windows. Windows 7 file recovery confuses a few people. It's got the old image backup software in there. It's got the file backup software in there. Both of these have been superseded by file history and by the restore option. But they still work. People still like them. I still like them. There's nothing wrong with them, so you can use them. And you can create a system rescue disk in there as well, which is a CD or a DVD that you can start your computer from. And if you're running Windows 8 Enterprise, then there's Windows to Go, which allows you to create a bootable copy of your entire Windows installation, including all your software, on a suitably sized and compatible USB pen drive, which is quite cool. So, let's look at some individual features. I want to look at automatic maintenance. Now, previously, Windows has had, for many years, it's had features like disk cleanup, which removes temporary files, and the disk defragmenter. And slowly but surely, these things started to run on their own. The disk defragmenter in Windows 7 would automatically run on a schedule. But now we've got this feature called automatic maintenance, and it's turned on by default, so you don't need to worry about it. But you access it from the Action Center. You access the Action Center by clicking on the white flag icon in the bottom right corner of the desktop taskbar. And the automatic maintenance will clean up temporary files. It will scan for viruses. It will see if you've got any updates due. It will defragment the hard disk. It'll do all of this on a schedule, and you don't need to worry about it. It's a really, really useful new feature. Next up is the customization of the system tray icons. Now, the system tray, which is the little white up arrow that you see in the bottom right of the taskbar was intended to hide all the huge plethora of annoying pop-up balloons that we all had with our software in Windows XP that would alert you to something probably quite trivial all the time. And you can modify, you can customize what appears in the system tray. You can get everything to actually appear in the system tray if you want to. You can purposefully make some things visible and hide other things. But you can also, there's an option in here for customizing the system icons as well. Let's say you don't want the volume icon down there, or you don't want the network icon or the power icon. You can disable these as well individually. So there's an awful lot you can do down in the system tray in Windows 8. Now, when it comes to startup programs, the way you manage them has completely changed in Windows 8. They've made it much easier and much simpler to do. Previously, you had to open the Windows configuration panel for everyone who's gone into MS config previously. And you've clicked on the Startup tab in there, and you've had to uncheck the programs and try and figure out what they were and do it that way. Now you do it from the Task Manager. So you open the Windows 8 Task Manager, which you normally do. You can do a Control-Alt-Delete and open it there. You can press Control-Shift and Escape on your keyboard to open it. You can right-click in a blank space on the desktop taskbar to open it. And there's a Startup tab, and all of your startup programs will appear in the list there. And as well as being able to click on one and then press a Disable button, which appears in the bottom right-hand corner, it will also tell you the startup impact that software has. Now, you may have used software in the past like Soluto, which looks at your startup programs and tells you how long they actually take to start up and what the startup impact does. Well, you don't need that software anymore because Windows 8 does it all for you. So you'll be able to see if there's a bit of software in there that is taking an age to start up and slowing your computer down, it will show you with this little heat map to squares, and it will tell you that you can turn it off. So that's a really useful way to be able to manage your startup programs in Windows. Now, many of us use laptops and tablets in multiple locations. I do. I'm sure many of you do. And did you know that you can set in Windows, you've been able to do this in Windows 7 as well, set the default printer to different locations depending on where you are? Well, you do this in Windows 8 by going into the Devices and Printers panel, search for Devices at the start screen, and you'll find it in the Settings search results. And click Manage Default Printers on the toolbar. It's still got a toolbar along the top of the window. And there, what this will do is this will bring up a list of printers that you have installed on your computer and a list of networks that you have connected to, be these wired or wireless networks. And you can select a printer, select a network, and you can say, right, when I'm on that network, that's my default printer. So that when you connect to whichever network it is again, whatever is the default printer for that network will automatically become your default printer on your computer, and you don't need to worry about it anymore. It's a really useful little feature. Now, a little while ago I mentioned file history. So let me talk about that. Now, file history it's not a complete backup solution. It does back up your files, but many people will still prefer a file-by-file backup copy so that you can just go into it and you see all the files and you see all the folders and you can pull a file out of it. But file history's versioning control is extremely good. It's Microsoft's equivalent to Time Machine on the Mac, and it keeps copies of files as they've changed. By default, it does it once an hour. So if you change the file several times within an hour, it will lose those changes. So it doesn't do it every single time a file is saved. and it will also keep copies of files that have been inadvertently deleted, whether they've gone through the recycle bin or not, whether they're still in the recycle bin, so that you can recover these files. And it's a great way to be able to protect your files from change, especially if you're anything like me and you have a whole big number of files that you work on a regular basis. I mentioned earlier something called the WinX menu. Here it is, so you can see it. Press Windows key plus X on your keyboard, and there it is. And I also mentioned creating a custom refresh image. Now, when you want to use refresh, as I say, it essentially reloads Windows, but it keeps your apps on the start screen. It keeps your user accounts, keeps your files and your settings, most of your settings anyway. But you have to reinstall all your desktop software. Well, you can create a custom refresh image by opening the command prompt admin option. You must have administrator privileges to do this from the WinX menu, and typing this command. And don't worry, because I'm going to make sure that you all get a downloadable copy of this presentation, because there's another command coming up in it as well. So this is the command, and what this does is this creates a new backup image of Windows on your hard disk, or on a separate partition or a separate hard disk should you wish, so that if you want to use refresh, you still have all of that software that was installed at the time the custom refresh image was made. The one downside with this is that you will still have to reset all the settings in your desktop software. So you will, for instance, have to put your email addresses and back into Outlook. It's different from a system image, a full operating system image that you create using the Windows 7 file recovery panel in the control panel, because that will store absolutely everything. That's a full image, and that will store all of the settings for everything. Refresh won't do that. It works differently, but it's still extremely good, and it's a lot better for non-technical people because they can do it themselves. It's very easy for them to do it, for them to refresh their PC if they encounter a problem. Storage spaces, again, I mentioned. You can use internal hard drives in your computer, or you can use things like USB attached hard disks, and you can amalgamate all of these into one big storage space. Very useful. Let's say you do video production for your job, and you need huge amounts of hard disk space anyway. It's a really good way of doing it, and it's very safe, it's very stable, it's very robust. When I was writing the new Windows 8 troubleshooting book, I could barely find anything wrong with it. It's a really, really good feature. But of course, you need more than one hard disk, and many computers, especially laptops and tablets, don't come with them anyway. Then, some people want to add power and sleep and restart buttons to the start screen, because going into the charms, opening the charms, and then clicking the settings charm, and then clicking power, and then deciding what you want is frankly a bit of a faff. Let's be honest. So if you have power, sleep, restart buttons on the start screen itself, all you have to do is click its tile, and that's it. It works. It can be a bit complex in places, but if you go to my YouTube page, which is youtube.com/Halsey Mike, you will see in the Windows 8 tutorials there is a video there. It's only about 4 minutes long, I think, which shows you how to create these power buttons, and you could create them on pin them to the desktop taskbar as well once they're created. So that's something else that you can do. Also, some people like changing the default view in File Explorer, formerly Windows Explorer. Well, this is possible as well. By default, it opens up showing your libraries. Some people want File Explorer to open up showing the computer view so that you see all your hard disks. Well, this is how you do it. You open the jump list for File Explorer on the desktop taskbar. Then where you see File Explorer in the list, which you'll see here, right-click on it and open its properties. And you change its shortcut to this text here that you'll see, this System Root Explorer XE text. Below it is, I've put the text to change it back to the standard libraries view should you want to. And again, you'll be able to download a copy of this presentation so that you can see what this link is that you change it to. Then, whenever you open File Explorer, it will open at the computer view instead of the libraries view, which many people want. Next up is probably one of the some of the most requested configuration options, disabling the lock screen. Now, you can do this in Windows 8 Pro or Enterprise. Actually, the information has changed slightly since this was written. It does work in Windows RT as well, because Windows 8 RT has got the group policy editor. So search for gpedit.msc, and you can open the group policy editor. Navigate to the following section in the left-hand panel of the Group Policy Editor: Computer Configuration, Administrative Templates, Control Panel, Personalization, and Do Not Display the Lock Screen. And then you can change the option there for Do Not Display the Lock Screen. This doesn't work in the basic version of Windows 8 because the basic version of Windows 8 doesn't include the Group Policy Editor. So you need Windows 8 Pro or higher to be able to use it. Next up is automatically logging into Windows. If you're the only user, it can be a bit of a pain to have to type your long Hotmail or Microsoft account password every time you log in. You might not want to have a picture password, even though they're cool and very secure actually, if you do them right. You might not want to have a PIN. I wouldn't recommend them because they're not very secure. Because it might only be you using the computer. And if it's only you using the computer, then do you want a password on it? I mean, you might want a password just for security in case your computer gets stolen, but you don't need it. So you do this by searching for NetPL Wiz at the start screen, and in the user account box that opens up, you just uncheck a simple option: users must enter a username and password to use this computer. Uncheck that, and you will automatically log in. Windows will automatically log in to the most recent user account that was used on the PC, if there's more than one. So, what's coming up? These webcasts are running all through the year, with the exception of the summer. Next month, I'm going to talk about being productive with Windows 8. Then we'll start getting on to troubleshooting, diagnosing and repairing problems, staying safe, advanced troubleshooting, and so on right throughout the year. And you can keep up on the O'Reilly website. But before then, if you're in America, I'm coming over, as I said at the beginning, for the Microsoft MVP Summit, flying out a week tomorrow actually, and I've arranged 2 Geek Meet events that are open to everyone. One in Seattle on Thursday the 21st of February in the evening, and one in New York in Manhattan on Sunday 24th of February in the afternoon. These are the events that you can go to. They're the hashtags for the events. It would be great if they're free to attend. There's going to be free books and giveaways, hopefully if they arrive in time, which I'm sure they will. And it would be really great to meet as many of you as possible if you're in the area and can make it. So that's the 2 forthcoming Geek Meets. And now it's time for your questions for Q&A. So, Yasmina, how many questions do we have?
Yes, sir. We have several questions that have come in. And, folks, you heard we are at Q&A. If you do have a question for Mike, open your group chat, type your question in, send it in, and he will answer as many as we have time for. Alrighty, we'll just take them in the order they came in. Question from Dana. She says, IE10 is giving me fits with regard to Flash and ActiveX. Is there an easy method to allow the Flash and ActiveX content to display in the desktop and modern IE apps?
Well, it won't display the Windows 8 app. Some Flash websites will work, but not many of them. It's designed to be plug-in free and just use HTML5. You shouldn't be having trouble with Flash and ActiveX with the default settings. What you can do is, if you are having trouble, you could reset Internet Explorer, and this might fix it. If you go to my YouTube page, youtube.com/Halsey Mike, there is a video up there in the Windows 8 troubleshooting section on how to reset Internet Explorer, and I would suggest that might be your first action.
Perfect, thank you. Another question here from Sharon. She says, why does it take 20 tries to even get to the charms so you can change the settings?
Have you got one of those monitors where there's the bezel to the screen isn't flat and the bezel is raised up slightly? I've got one of those monitors and it's really annoying. The easiest way to do it is to press the Windows key plus C and open the charms that way.
Thank you. Next question here from Dave. No matter what I do, Windows 8 requires me to enter my system password. I have made the change numerous times to no avail. Is there any solution to this problem?
It rather depends where it's asking you to enter your system password. Is it asking every time you log in? So you could go into PC settings and create a picture password or a PIN, or you could use the Netball with a fantastic name to turn off, to auto log in and turn off the password. If it's asking you at random times, then it could be that you've got malware on the computer that's trying to do something in the background and needs elevated administrative privileges to do it. So if it's happening at a time when you're not expecting it, I would make sure that you do a full virus scan and perhaps download a bit of software like Malwarebytes, malwarebytes.org, which is absolutely fantastic and free.
Super. Next question here from Sharon again. She says, are you saying we can switch Windows 8 back to Windows 7 so I might use my QuickBooks 2012 for my treasurer's job on the laptop after all?
Well, software that ran on Windows 7 will run on Windows 8, so your QuickBooks will run. There's no problem with that, unless you're using Windows RT on a Surface tablet or on a similar tablet, because desktop software won't install on those at all. But if you're using a laptop or a standard Intel-based tablet or a desktop PC, then your QuickBooks will work, and there's no problem with that at all. It'll just appear once you've installed it as an icon on the start screen, and you can pin it to the taskbar on the desktop if you want as well.
Thank you. Another question here from David. David says, why doesn't disk cleanup in Windows 8 work?
Doesn't it? Does with me. Send me an email, David, and send me a message on Facebook, and we'll see if we can figure out what's going on.
Okay, and some folks are asking how can they follow up with you. So, right now, folks, I'm pushing out in your group chat. It's Mike's website, The Long Climb, the URL to that, and it's got all the places you can catch up with him, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, all of that. Okay. Another question here. Sharon would like to know, where is the icon for allowing you to safely eject jump drives?
Oh, it's hidden away on the system tray in the taskbar. So if you click on the little up arrow on the bottom right of the taskbar, you'll see it there is a little picture of a USB plug with a little green tick on it. So you can right-click on that and select. But once that little pop-up is open, if you hit the Customise link, then if you want to, you can set that particular icon to always appear on the in the system tray, so that when you have a USB drive plugged in, that icon is always there for you to see.
Thank you. Next question here from Werner. He says, how can I display the printer location in detail view in the Devices and Printers windows like it was possible in Windows XP?
That's a good question. In Devices and Printers, I'm just looking at it now, when you click on the properties for a printer, you're absolutely right. It doesn't seem to want to tell you where it is. Drop me an email. Send me a message on Facebook or Twitter. Drop me an email at mike@mvps.org, mike@mvps.org, and I'll give you as much information as you can, and I'll help you out with that.
Thank you. Next question here from Robert. If you create a custom refresh image, does it replace the regular refresh image?
No, it doesn't. It creates a new one in the location that you specified, and you can. There is a command. I haven't got it to hand, but there is a command that you can use to actually switch between them and make the original refresh image the master if you want to, which can be quite handy for some people. Again, if you get in touch, I'll dig out the command and I'll send it to you.
Thank you. Another question now from, John, and John would like to know, if you have Office 2013, will it automatically sync to SkyDrive, or can you install SkyDrive for the desktop and save the document to the SkyDrive desk folder, and will it automatically sync?
It actually plugs into the SkyDrive desktop program if you've got it installed. So if you right-click on your SkyDrive icon in the system tray and select Settings, you'll see an option in there called Use Office to sync files faster and work on files with other people at the same time. And you can uncheck that if you don't want Office to synchronize on its own. I've found that if you store files locally on your computer, as I have spreadsheets and all sorts of things that I pin to jump lists so I get easy access to them, what it does is it replaces the locally pinned file with one on SkyDrive. And I don't want that. I want to open the local one because I don't know if I'm going to have internet access. So if that's happening with you, then open the SkyDrive settings and you can uncheck the option there.
Okay, thank you. Maurice, next question. Have not yet found a use for the VHD drive. Is there anything in your book or your lectures how it might be leveraged?
Well, it depends on entirely, what you might end up doing with it. Useful, a virtual hard disk, a VHD as virtual hard disk is effectively an ISO file, or think of it as a big zip file that is a hard, a sort of pseudo hard disk. So it can be useful. Let's say you've got a hard disk which has got software to be installed on remote computers in your business, where you can store them all in this VHD, and then you can attach this VHD on remote computers, and they just think it's users there just think it's another hard disk, and they'll install all the software on it. That's one such use for it. It's more a specialist tool. If you've really got a use for it, then you'll probably already know that you've got a use for it.
Thank you. Let's see here. Question now from Paul. So if I have determined I am running Windows 8, not Windows 8 Pro, what are the 3 best reasons to switch to Windows 8 Pro?
If you're already running Windows 8, you only really need to switch to Windows 8 Pro if you're going to use some of the business features like group policy or connecting to network domains. That's where you'll get the benefit. Also, if you want to use Media Center and have the DVD and Blu-ray playback, you'll need Windows 8 Pro in order to be able to get that anyway, because that's not available to the standard Windows 8. But it's generally the 2 main reasons to upgrade.
Thank you. Question now from Bill. Bill, I'm going to try to understand what you're sending in here. Bill says, where are the previous versions and deleted files stored, and how much space is required? Do you need more space for the old files than the total of active files?
You can decide where these files are stored. You can store them on an external hard disk. You can store them on a network location. If you do, then Windows quite sensibly assumes that you're not going to have access to this all the time. So it also allows you to reserve a small amount of hard disk space on your own computer, and it stores some of the most recently changed files there as well. So that's where it stores them. Do you need more space? It'll manage the space, but obviously if you have a large amount of files and you have files that change regularly, then then having a lot of hard disk space is incredibly useful. What you can do is a file change takes place effectively every time you open a file. So if you play an MP3 or if you open a picture, the last access date and time for that file will change, and that effectively constitutes a file change. If you don't want those things to fill up your file history, then you can exclude certain file locations from that file history. So if you excluded your music and your pictures and your video, for instance, then it would just focus on your documents, and you wouldn't need that. And you get to that by opening file history, and you'll see advanced options as a link on the left-hand side of the file history panel.
Thank you. It looks like we have now our final question from Paul. Paul says, I love the OS X terminal application. I can copy and paste items from text editors into the terminal. What is the best way to do this in Windows 8?
No idea. But if you drop me an email, I'll try and find out for you.
Perfect. Paul,
good one to end on, isn't it?
We're going to push out Mike's website again to you all so you can follow up with him after the event or when you have some time there. Okay. Let's see. I'm not seeing any additional questions. Mike, is there anything additionally you'd like to leave the audience with as we close the program?
Well, if you can get to one of the Geek meets in Seattle or New York in a couple of weeks, that will be absolutely fantastic. I'll be back here regular as clockwork next Thursday, first Thursday of every month. These are, tell your friends, and you've seen the list of what's coming up throughout the year. And if you do go out and you buy a copy of Windows 8 out of the box or one of my other books, please leave a review on Amazon because other people find them helpful.
Super. With that, folks, we're going to say a very big thank you to Mike for his outstanding presentation today and for sharing all his knowledge and expertise. Folks that attended our event, we thank you for attending and spending your time with us. And those of you that did send in questions, thank you for your questions because having those just adds so much more to our events. I'd like to remind you all that Mike's next webcast is going to be on March 7th, and we did push out the URL for that, as well as all of his upcoming webcasts with O'Reilly. So please take a look at those, register for the ones you like. They're all free, and as you can tell, excellent information that you can apply right away. Mike's book, Windows 8 Out of the Box, is the O'Reilly deal of the day. That means you can get it today at a really, really good price. You can get the ebook for 50% off, folks. It's outrageous the low price that it is at. So we invite you to take advantage of that. Pushed out the URL. As well, you can go to O'Reilly.com. Look on the right-hand side there. You can't miss it. All Mike's books, really, really good there and for a good price. Mike, thank you again. Thank you, everyone. This will conclude today's webcast. Goodbye, everybody.